सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवा गुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। We'll chant the mantras. ॐ अथाश्वलायनो भगवन्तं परमेष्ठिनमुपसमेत्य उवाच अधीहि भगवो ब्रह्मविद्यां वरिष्ठाम् सदा सद्भिः सेव्यमानां निगूढाम् यया चिरात् सर्वपापं व्यपोह्य परात् परं पुरुषं याति विद्वान् तस्मै स होवाच पितामहश्च श्रद्धा भक्तिध्यानयोगादवैः न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति So, besides Shraddha, Bhakti and Dhyan, which are recommended by Brahmaji as the means, as the antaranga sadhana for knowledge. Besides that, Brahmaji is also recommending other means, and he specifies that in mantra 3. He said, na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena. Very specifically, Brahmaji says that it is not by karma or praja or dhana that one comes to know immortality. Then by what one comes to know? Tyagena eke amrutatvam anashuhu. Eke tyagena amrutatvam anashuhu. Some people have gained immortality by tyaga, by renunciation. This much is said. And then he said, Parena nakam nihit. With these two lines we will do now. But it is very specifically said that it is not by karma, nor by praja, nor by dhanam. By these, as we said yesterday, that this is told to the person for whom the goal is very clear. It is not that without any reason he is giving up all this. It is very clear to him that what I am seeking, what I want, is not out there. Is not out there in praja, in dhanam, or through karma. I will not get through them. Why? Because they are limited means to gain limited ends. All of them, praja, karma, as well as dhanam, are limited. And they can give me only limited things. What I want is dhruvam. As in Kathopanishad, it is said by the Shruti, Nahya dhruvaihi prapyate dhruvam hi tat. By adhruva means by unsteady means, by those things, by those means which are themselves limited, dhruvam cannot be attained. Dhruvam means nitya, dhruvam means steady, dhruvam means infallible. By limited, this infallible or limitless cannot be gained. What I am seeking is not there. Nasti akrutaha krutena karmana. All of these are great means, but they cannot give me what? Krutakrutyata. This is very clear. And then for them, it is said tyagena. Tyaga means by renunciation. Yesterday we talked about it at great length. Why Bhashyakara as well as the Shruti or the Shastra emphasizes upon this is because this is very compatible. The lifestyle of a sannyasi is compatible to pursue Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. They are the means for knowledge. Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. They are the means to gain knowledge. And for pursuing that without vikshepa, what is important? A lifestyle which is conducive to that, which is compatible with my goal of life. And my goal of life for such a person is very clear, that I want moksha, which is not which I have tried, which I have examined. It's not out there. And therefore, it is all very clear that it is to be attained by knowledge. It is the very self. And for that, I have to discover that in the very self. So, sannyasa is emphasized. And sannyasa are also of two types. Actually, the primary meaning of sannyasa means samyak nyasaha, where you very well give up. Actually, the primary meaning of sannyasa means giving up. And to tell you the truth, Atma has never caught anything. Atma has never grasped anything. Atma, the self, is already a sannyasi. The self is already a sannyasi. In as much as it is akarta, abhokta, it has never caught, it has never grasped anything. It is not holding on to anything. So Atma is already beyond karma. Karma doesn't touch Atma. So in reality, Atma is already sannyasi. But knowing that very clearly is called Vidvat sannyasa. What is Vidvat sannyasa? Where you already know and abide in the fact that Atma is this. Atma is free from karma. Atma is free from everything. There is no trace of creation in Atma. In that sense, Atma is already a sannyasi. But I have to know that. But I have to own up that and abide in that. Effortlessly abide in that. For that, for doing that process, what is required? Shastra thinks that Vividisha Sannyasa will help. Vividisha Sannyasa, Veditum Ichcha, where there is a desire to know the self. And this sannyasa is given formally so that you can discover this. It facilitates, but it is not compulsory. See, it is not, somebody yesterday was asking that is it mandatory that everybody has to take sannyasa? No, it is not so. But yes, definitely the lifestyle of a sannyasi is compatible. It facilitates. But it's not necessary that one has to do that. If you can, leading your life, if you can understand and own up your identity while playing roles of mother, father, wife, husband, and multiple roles which life expects me to play, or which I am supposed to be playing while in the life, while in the vyavahara, while in the jagat. If I may have to play many roles, but even while playing those roles, if I can remember and own up without deviating from my true identity, then there is no problem. But this is easily said than done. If you can do that, it is fine. Janaka did it. Janaka had no simple role to play. Who was he? He was an emperor. He was a king. But still, his another name was Videha. His name was that also. Why? Because he was not at all attached. He was totally free and asangaha. Knowing that Atma is not in any way connected with body, mind, intellect, creation, he knew this very well and was playing the role and still abiding in the self. So it is not that you cannot do it, but for doing that requires a lot more effort. Why? Because you have to play the roles, you have to perform the duties, and sometimes the call of the duty, the demands of the duties are very, 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 very strong, very, very intense. Everybody doesn't have simple roles. It is quite possible. But in course of time, if you have that knack, that I can do it, then one can very well gain this knowledge even while living one's life. One can, because the greatest solace is what? I'm already Atma. I don't have to become. I'm already Asanga, Purna, Shanta, Ananda, Atma. I don't have to become. What have I to do to distance myself from identifying with the body, mind, intellect, with this complex, with this sharira, with the personality? Purusha, Prakriti, Viveka. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. If you can do Druk, Drishya, Viveka, and if you can be with the Atma, fine. Nothing will stop you. Nothing can stop you from gaining the knowledge. So don't have the complex that we are not sannyasi. You need not have that complex because you are already a sannyasi. Atma is already that. What needs to be done is to get rid of the ignorance and the sense of ego and the notions of kartrutva. I am a doer. I am an enjoyer. I am karta, bhokta, manta, ganta, etc. have to be kept where they are. And where are they? In the mind, in the ignorance they are there. Give them up. Then very well you can do. But I would suggest that your life should be very, very simple for that. Simplify your life as much as possible. Make your needs minimum and minimum and minimum. Bring it to bare minimum. Nothing wrong with food, clothing, shelter, and even basic comforts. I won't deny that. You can have it. But minimum. So that your energies are not spent in that. And you do not get attached to all those things. So simplify your life. And wherever you are, devote yourself to this knowledge. Continue with Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan. In whatever stage of life you may be, and you can even minimize your roles. You can even do that. If you have that facility. Some may not have, but some can do. Withdraw little by little by little. Be in the family, be in the midst of the world, but like that lotus leaf, which is there in the water, but still water cannot touch it. Like that, if you can live in the world, fine. And for most people, that is practical. And that can be done. So don't have the complex that we are not. You are sannyasi. And you can abide in the self. Okay? Having said that much, then we go to the second part of the mantra. Parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibrajate yat yatayah vishanti. Then it is said yatayah. Yatayah means those who are striving hard. Those aspirants who are striving hard. Yatayah vishanti. They enter. Where do they enter? Nihitam guhayam. In the cave of the heart. And where is that? What is that cave of the heart? Parena nakam. Parena nakam means, I will explain. Parena nakam means that which is beyond even the heavens. Atma is lodged, I will explain, in the cave of the heart, and that is where you have to know it. And this is much beyond the heavens. Parena nakam. And it is here in the cave of the heart where there is the seat of the mind. In that yat vibrajate. Yat means that Atma or that Brahman vibrajate. Vibrajate means it shines over there. Okay, this is what we have to now explain. See, yatayaha vishanti. They enter. This entering is also not in the literal sense. It is not entering inside the heart. No such thing. But what it means is they come to know. How will they come to know? They have heard about the nature of the self. And now that is Shravanam is done or is being done. It is a continuous process. It is not that this much part of life is allotted to Shravanam and other 10 years for Mananam and other 10 years Nididhyasanam. No. All these three have to go together. All of them are important. Keep on listening, keep on thinking, deliberating upon it, and simultaneously find a time for Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam, what is Nididhyasanam? Means meditate. But meditate upon the nature of the self. There are separate verses which are coming about Nididhyasanam. So we will talk about that at that time also. But in short, continuously meditate. Understand that you are this. As a result of this, as a result of the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, when things become very clear, yes, the immortality, the kritakrityata, the satisfaction, the adequacy, ananda, which I am seeking is right here, is right myself. You discover it in your own self. That is what is meant by nihitam guhayam. It is lodged. See, it is said that heart, our heart is the place upon which you focus. And there in that heart too, heart also is the shape of the lotus. And here the heart means the inverted heart. So generally the lotus is like that. But when you invert it, then this will be the shape of the lotus. This is what the heart is. In the heart, there is mind. There is a space. There is a space like thumb. It is in this space that the mind is. Mind, the seat of the mind is here. In this mind, what is reflecting? Atma, the self. Yad vibrajate. Just as when you look into the mirror is not Atma. Mirror is not your face, but your face gets reflected in the mirror. Similarly, Atma gets reflected in the mind. Mind is that medium which can reflect Atma. Just as all the surfaces do not reflect my face, do they? Only the bright surface, like a mirror, will reflect the face. Similarly, hand will not reflect. This thing will not reflect. What is reflecting the self in the most efficacious way is mind. Mind. And that too sattvic mind. Sattvic mind, which is bereft of all rajas and tamas. That is why this insistence upon pure mind. Antakarana shuddhi. Why? Just as we can see our face in the mirror only and only when it is clean. If it is dirty, muddy, full of cracks, your face will also be reflected like that. So what we do first, we clean. Then crystal clear image we can see. Similarly, mind has to be made clean and pure, in short, sattvika. It is here when you meditate, focusing upon your heart, and then you come to know, yes, this which is constantly manifesting as I is the self. Which shines means constantly I. What is that I? Not aham, ego, but what is that I? It is Atma. You come to know. And what is this parena nakam? This is parena nakam. Parena means higher. Then nakam. Nakam doesn't mean nose. Nakam means what? Actually, kam. See, this word is made of na akam. The word nakam is made of these two parts, na and akam. Kam means sukham. Kam, the word kam means sukham. How this is kam, that I am showing you. Kam means sukham. Akam means dukkham. And when you attach na, it becomes what? Nakam means heavens, where there is no dukkha. But what is Shruti saying? That this self which you come to know as your very self is much beyond the happiness that is found in the heavens. The happiness which you find there is relative, conditional. If you have punya, then only you can go. Everybody has no permit in passport in heavens. No visa. No, not passport, but visa. Everybody doesn't have visa for heavens. Who has visa? Punya karma. Atma, can you say everybody doesn't have visa for Atma? Why? Because everybody is already the self. And it is happiness without any conditions. With no conditions are attached. So it is said, parena nakam nihitam guhayam yad vibrajate. That which is shining, that there these yatis enter. These aspirants, they enter. Enter doesn't mean entering literally into through the door and you go inside. No, it means coming to know. Coming to know the self as my very Atma, my very discovering this. This is what is meant here. Then we go to verse number 6. Now, because here for me, in my book, the numbers are different. Sorry. So as we said, when a wise man comes we welcome them with Purna Kumbha. At that time, both these mantras are recited. Verse number 3 as well as 4. We will be doing that now. Come on. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Sannyasa Yogadyataya Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramrutah Parimuchyanti Sarve. See, again. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. Here again, the yati is described. The aspirant, the sincere aspirant is being described, or many adjectives are being given about him. See, yatayah. How are this? How are they? Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. This second line, in second line you will find this word Sannyasa Yogad Yatayah. Yatayah, they have become yati by the help of sannyasa, which means they have become sincere sadhakas, sincere yatis who are constantly striving hard with the help of sannyasa. With the help of sannyasa. They, how are they and what are they? Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha, which means what? They have very well ascertained knowledge of Vedanta. They have Vedanta Vijnana, the knowledge of Vedanta. In this, they are what? They have clear-cut knowledge of Vedanta Vijnana. And Nishchaya has occurred in them as to what is the theme of Vedanta, what are the major statements, what is the Mukhya Tatparya, what is the secondary Tatparya. All this is very clear to them. They know Vedanta, the main theme, very well. In that sense, it is called this yatis, these sadhakas are Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. Plus, what are they? Shuddha Sattvaha. They are what? Very pure and immaculate. As we just discussed, that what you require is Shuddha Sattva. That is the medium, that is the main means. The heart has to be pure. Shuddha Sattvaha. What happens to them? They, Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramrutaha Parimuchyanti Sarve. They means they. This yatis, what happens to them at the Parantakale? Parantakale means at the time of death. We are talking about wise man who abides in the knowledge of the self. For such people, at the time of death, what happens? They are in Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka, we will see this last two lines of this verse. This Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramrutaha Parimuchyanti Sarve. There are two interpretations for these two lines, which we will see. First, I am just translating that when the time of death comes, it means when the gross body of the wise man merges, or when it becomes quiet, that time they are already in the Brahma. Brahmaiva lokaha means they abide in the truth of Brahman. And then they are Parimuchyanti Sarve Paramrutaha. They surpass Maya. Paramrutaha refers to Maya. Maya is also greater than this creation, precisely because it is the cause of the creation. And so Maya is referred to as something which is higher than this creation. From such a Maya, from this means ignorance, they cross over that. In that sense, they have crossed over ignorance and sarvatah parimuchyanti. They are totally free. And there is second interpretation also, which we will talk about as we go. But let us see the first two lines. As I just said, yatayaha means those who are working very hard. Working hard to know, to come to own up the nature. It is very well to know that I am Brahman. But as I said as we described on the very first day, that to know that I am Brahman is one thing, but to abide in that is another. That calls for lot of effort. For some it may be very easy. For an Jignasu like Nachiketa, he was told, and very soon he owned up that nature. Why? Because those samskaras are already there. That much the effect of ignorance is not that strong in certain cases, but in most cases we find that having listened, Shravanam is done, Mananam is to be done, Nididhyasanam has to be done constantly. When this is done for a long time, sometimes, as Lord Krishna says, Aneka janma samsiddha tato yati param gatim. This may go on for Aneka janma. We may have begun our yatra of knowing Brahman, but quite possible that it may not be complete in this birth. Or today we are taking up from what is incomplete in the past lives. Quite possible. So, yati means they are doing this. They have taken up this project. And they are what? Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartaha. Vedanta Vijnana. Vedantaha Prasiddhaha. Vedanta, as we already know, is the means for this knowledge, pramana for this knowledge, valid source of knowledge for Atma, for truth. And Vedanta also, you must understand this very well. Vedanta is a pramana, right, but not Agnyata Gnapakam pramana. See, it is not that Vedanta tells me about a self that is completely unknown to me. Is it so? Vedanta does not reveal the self which is completely unknown to me. Why? Because I already know I already know myself. Today I know the self, but how? Wrongly. But that doesn't mean I don't know it. Every moment I is declaring itself. Aham Ganta, Aham Manta, Aham Vijnata, Aham Karta, I am a woman, I am thinking this, that, etc. I am going to, which means what? Every moment I is manifest. You don't have to make it manifest. Like, unless I open my eyes, I will not see this. Not like that with the Atma. Atma is constantly manifesting itself as what? I. But what Vedanta does is that Atma or self which we know all right, but we know it wrongly today, that wrong portion is removed. Just as to give you an example, as Swamiji was saying the other day, when I say I am unhappy, what do? I say listen carefully. I say I am unhappy. In that, what have I done? I is there. Along with that, what has come? Unhappy. Now, this I is in one locus and unhappy is in another locus. We have brought them together. This parakrama, this miracle we have done. I is in one locus, Atma, subject. Unhappy is where? Where? Mind. It is a vritti of the mind, thought of the mind. And what did I do? I combined it with the vritti of the mind, which means subject and object are brought together. Yushmat, Asmat, Pratyaya, good. I is Asmat. And this Unhappy is a thought of the mind which is what? Yushmat. You. This is subject, this is object. Just as this is object and I am drashta, subject. Similarly, I, Atma, is subject, and that vritti of the mind itself and the vritti in the mind is not separate from its vrittis, thoughts. I am watching the mind and concluding, I am that, which means what? I am identifying with the vrittis of the mind. So subject and object are brought together. Chit, jada, granthi. Chit means Atma, and that vritti is jadam. It was illumined because of me. Atma illumined it. We brought it together. And what happened? Third entity is born. What is that? Ego, or I am unhappy. We have brought them together. What does Shastra do? What does Vedanta do? It says you means I means only Atma. Unhappy belongs there. Unhappy part belongs to the mind. Karta belongs to mind. Bhokta belongs to mind. Woman belongs to body. Man belongs to body. Child, all this belongs elsewhere. To the object, Sharira, Mana, Buddhi, Prana, Indriyani. Just as Bhashyakara says, Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chittani, Naham. I am not this, I am not this, I am not then what are you? What are you? Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham. This is what Vedanta says. I know myself, but wrongly. Vedanta educates me about the fact that you are adding what is outside you, outside of you, to the self. Remove that part. Remove that part. In that sense, Vedanta is pramana. Not in revealing the self. That so far I did not know I, and Shastra came in. Yes, the particularity of the self, which means I always knew I am. Aham asmi. Sada bhami. I am and I always shine. Who doesn't know that? Do you have to tell me that you are Swamini ji? You are. I know myself. I know that I am. Wife doesn't have to tell the husband that you are. He knows it very well. Aham asmi sada bhami. But what I do not know? What I do not know? That I am of the nature of happiness. Kadachin naham apriyah. That I am Ananda Swarupa. That I don't know. Understood? Samanya Jnanam is there. Of Atma, always there. But Vishesha Jnanam is absent. And in place of that, something else is projected. Something else is superimposed. That is to be removed. So, in short, Vedanta is pramana in this way. One to whom this to this yatis, this is very clear. Because of long exposure. Because of long mananam, shravanam, mananam, paunaf punyena shravanam kuryat. Keep on doing it again and again. Then a time comes when it becomes very clear. Just as Swamiji, it doesn't happen overnight. Overnight it doesn't happen. It is constantly happening. Constantly, like that Polaroid picture. You take the picture, but the image manifests little by little. You take the picture of Ganesha, but what emerges first? The big lion, then mouse, then small details, and after some time, the entire Ganesha, everything clear cut. Similarly, in the beginning, when you listen, little by, yes, I understood little bit, but most of the thing went above my head. That can happen. But after a long time, what will happen? Vedanta, Vijnana, Sunishchitartaha. These are the people for whom Vishishtam Aham Brahmasmi iti Jnanam Tasminneva sunishchita arthaha. They are very clear about the meaning of Vedanta. Such are the people, plus they are Shuddha Sattvaha. And how have they become Sannyasa Yogat? By pursuing this life seriously, pursuing this goal very seriously. It is not with, one has to work very hard. Depends upon the kind of notions that we are entertaining. And these notions have the habit of coming back, coming back, coming back. We think we have understood. Yes, I understood very well that I am not this mind, body, etc. But moment we distance ourselves from this kind of setup or Shravanam, then again those notions take over us. They overwhelm us today. Habitually we go back to that. Habitually again and again we go back to that. And sometimes we feel, what is this? In spite of listening to Aham Brahmasmi for so many years, still this person is not going. Not going. Yes, that means lot of work is required. But never get depressed. Pursue this constantly. Anirvirna chetasa, as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Do this anirvirna chetasa. Never bring down yourself. I cannot do it. You are already that. You just have to be alert and own up every moment. Yes. So this is Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. And then what? Paranta Kale. Now at the end of the Paranta Kala, this word is to be understood very well. Paranta Kala means for such a yati, he is now abiding in the knowledge. He abides. He knows the self very well. Understood. Then a time comes with prarabdha, his body also dies. The time of death has arrived. For such a wise man, this is called Parantakale. Why Parantakale? Not for ignorant person. When he comes, when the time of death comes for an ignorant person, we don't call it Parantakale. Why? Because, why? Because for him, there will be another birth, then death, then birth, then death. This cycle of birth and death will continue for them. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. For an ignorant person who doesn't know anything about the self and who takes himself to be subject to being born and dying and human being, who looks upon himself as limited, he is born and dies. But still knowledge is not there. Desires are there. So again he will be born. So when the time of death comes for an ignorant person, it is Antakala. It is Antakala. But for a wise man, Parantakala. Why Parantakala? Because his ignorance is gone. No desires. He knows the self very well. And self is what? Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. It is never born, never dies, free from all vikaras, knows very well. So he is totally fulfilled. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Very well, happy with himself, by himself, in himself. So no desires. So, is he going to be born again? He won't be born again. Why? Because you require desires. You require karmas. In his case, all of this are burnt. All of this with his knowledge, with the flame of knowledge. All his ignorance and desires and karmas which were performed by him so far in all these lives, sanchita karma, all of this burns immediately. Just as in a big fire, all the combustible substance gets burnt. Similarly, in the flame of knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Akarta, Aham Purnaha, all the karmas all the desires. In short, ignorance is totally removed. And what is he now? What is he? What was he always, all along? Brahma only. That is why Brahma Lokeshu, that Brahma is not a loka. Brahma means what? Brahmaiva lokaha. Brahma itself is, he is already Brahma. He is in Brahma and remains as Brahma. Body dies and he is merged in Brahma. So far, body was little bit of an obstruction. So far, for him. Body has gone with prarabdha. And now, he is in a literal sense, in the literal sense, he is merged with Brahman. And this is called Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti means with death, with the going away of the body, now he won't be born again. He was already free and has now become Vimuktascha Vimuchyate. He was already free and now he has become free in the literal sense. But even while he was living and had knowledge, he was already free. Wise man, even when their body is due to prarabdha karma, he already abides in the knowledge. I am Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. Sarvam etad Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. He says, all this is Brahma. And who am I? I am Atma Brahma. He knows that. But just because he knows, his body doesn't die. It dies at the right time. When the prarabdha comes to an end, then only the body will fall off. But now who is he? Is he identified with the ego? Ahankara? No more. Ahankara is no more there. So what is he? He is only Brahman. And free even while living. Even while living. What is he? Free. He is called, this is one mukti. What? Jivan muktihi, which means free while alive. Even when you are alive and still you are free. That is what Bhagavan talks about in Sthita Prajna. Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. What do you mean by he is free? Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. When there are unfavorable situations, still it doesn't touch him. He doesn't become sad. When there are favorable situations, then we jump with joy and touch the ceiling. And when there are unfavorable situations, we go down. No such thing happens to a wise man. Vita, raga, bhaya, krodha. There is no raga, bhaya, krodha, mada, matsarya, nothing. Even though he has a mind, even though he is courting a body, no such things are there. So he is called what? Jivan Muktaha. Even while living. For one who is Jivan Mukta, what happens? Videha Mukti happens. What happens? Videha Mukti. Which means when he dies, when the body dies, not he dies. Because he is Brahman. Brahman doesn't come and go or die or born. But when the body falls off, because body had come, so body will go at its time. That is why Mahatmas also go one day. But they don't think that I am going. Why? Because Brahman is everywhere. Where will it go? Nowhere. So, but when the body falls, then there is no rebirth for them. This is called Videha Mukti. And other one is Jivan Mukti. For those who are Jivan Mukta, Jivan Muktaha, for them Videha Mukti is also there. Now, the another word for, just for your general knowledge, Vedantic knowledge, for another name for Jivan Mukti is Sadhyo Mukti. Just to keep in mind. Sadhyo Mukti and Jivan Mukti are one. Videha Mukti is falling of the body. And then, this, as I said, these two lines, last two lines of the verse 4 are also have another explanation, another interpretation. What is that? Not important, but still, so since we are doing it, I will tell you. There are certain aspirants who, for some pratibandha, because of certain obstacles, It's quite possible that they are not successful in abiding in Brahma in this lifetime because of obstacles. They cannot command that mind. They cannot pursue the sadhana. So obstacles are there. Then what happens? But this Shravanam itself, Mananam itself, pursuing this life itself has created, has generated so much of punya, so much of that. Plus, they have also done a lot of upasanas. That is why such souls, such jivas, go where? And when they die, when their body falls off, they literally go to Brahma Loka. Here Brahmaiva Loka nahi. Here what? Brahmanaha Lokaha. In the realm of Brahmaji. Brahmaji lives in a place called Brahma Loka. Earlier we talked about Brahma Loka, which was that? Brahma itself. Whereas this one is the really a place, a loka, a realm where Brahmaji resides. And there this person goes. Who? Who has not been successful in knowing Brahma here itself, but very pure, Shuddha Sattvaha. All that is there. Little bit of effort was lacking. He goes there. Then what happens? Then Parantakale. Now the meaning of this word Parantakala also changes. What happens? Then Parantakala means Parantakala of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is also a jiva, holding a high position. But he is also a jiva. And he gained a position at a certain time. He was born and then he will also go. He will also go one day. When will he go? When the kalpa comes to an end. When the cycle of this kalpa comes to an end. That is called Parantakala. That is called Parantakala. When the cycle comes to an end, that time Brahmaji will also die. And that time this person who has gone there before Brahmaji's death learns from Brahmaji again. Brahmaji teaches, gives this Vidya, and then he comes to know. Then he comes to know. Whatever little obstacles were there so far are no more there, and he comes to know. So, when the cycle comes to an end, he is also liberated. He is also liberated from Maya and is free. What is that called? Krama Mukti. What is that? Krama Mukti. Mukti in stage. Whereas that one was immediate Mukti. What have we got to try for? If we have option, what do we have to shoot for? Swamini ji, we will go for Brahma Loka. Brahma Loka. There we will postpone it for that. Not today, but tomorrow. Understand? Brahma, going there is very, very difficult. It is almost impossible.
Swamiji always said, learn better, learn here, otherwise you have to go to Brahma Loka.
But going there is not easy. But it is not easy. So, what the moral of the lesson is, we have to learn it here and now. Because Brahma we already are. Why not understand this very well here and now itself? So we have to work for what? Jivan Mukti. Forget Karma Krama Mukti. Forget it. It is there here, so we have to explain. But we don't have to postpone it for going there. So this is what is said. Now, with this verse, whatever Upanishad wanted to say is almost said, is almost done. But still the Upanishad continues. Why? Because it recognizes the importance of owning up this knowledge. One has to own up. And that requires time. That requires application. And that requires what? Nididhyasanam. Yesterday somebody was asking me, what is Nididhyasanam? Nididhyasanam means you sit down with yourself, Give quality time to yourself. Give appointment to yourself. Just as we give appointment to others, come and meet me at 4 o'clock. Similarly, we give time to ourselves and have familiarity with ourselves, because we know a lot of things of the world. What is happening in the Mars, what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening this, there, everywhere, that we were very well versed. But who is this fellow who is trying to know everything? Who is that? All the time weeping and crying and feeling guilty and this and we don't, that means we don't know him. So, having heard this, we sit back, and the habitual errors which are there, in spite of listening, it doesn't go. So we sit back, take stock of each and every notion, pick it up and remove them. And remove that. That is called Nididhyasanam. That is called Nididhyasanam or meditation. Meditation are of two types, which we will talk about tomorrow. But basically, Vedanti needs this meditation, which is called Nididhyasanam. So now, Upanishad, now in verse number 5, 6, 7, talks about that. Yeah, up to verse mantra 7 talks about this meditation. Let us begin with that. Still we have 2 minutes. We can just take 5 more minutes with your permission. You cannot tell me no. Okay, come on. Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanastha शुचिः समग्रीव शिरः शरीरः अत्याश्रमस्तः सकलेन्द्रियाणि निरुद्य भक्त्या स्वगुरुं प्रणम्य. We will even take verse number 6 because the verb is coming there. Rutpundarikam virajam vishuddham vichintya madhye vishatam vishokam acintyam avyaktam anantarupam shivam prashantam amrutam brahmayonim तमादि मध्यांत विहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्. So, talks about meditation, and what it does is, first of all, it gives us certain basic instructions that are needed to sit back and meditate. These instructions are also necessary so that we can comfortably sit with ourselves at least for 45 minutes, if not more, and without any kind of distractions, we can meditate upon the self. So, what is the first thing? Vivikta deshe. Vivikta deshe means what? Choose a secluded place. Choose a place that is solitary. And in such a place, what do? Have a sukhasanastha, means have a comfortable posture. Comfortable posture. Then, be what? Shuchihi, means you must have a clean atmosphere and cleanliness around you. There should be cleanliness within also and without also. But here what is meant is cleanliness without. Cleanliness means around you. Then what? Sama. How should be the posture? Sama, griva, shiraha, shariraha. Sama means alignment. In a straight position, in a straight posture. Your neck, griva means neck, shiraha means head, and sharira means back. All of this should be in one line. You can sit back like that now. All of you are already sitting like that, but that helps. Shuchi, sit back, erect, because that helps. Moment we little bit, then mind also slowly and slowly enjoys that, and then dozes off. So in meditation you can't, and when all this is not there, in 99.9 cases people go to sleep. People go to sleep. So Shuchi, Samagriva Shira Sharirah. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Then Atyashramastaha. Atyashramastaha means you go beyond all the ashramas. Brahmacharya ashrama, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha, and be what? Sannyasi. Everybody is allowed. Mentally become a sannyasi. Atyashramastaha. Sakalendriyani nirudhya. Withdrawing all these sense organs of action and knowledge. Withdraw them. Then what? Important thing. In such a mantra also, devotion comes. Bhaktya swagurum pranamya. With devotion, bow down, have love and devotion and respect and veneration for your teacher. All this is going to help, because you are now boarding a very important flight, being with yourself. So we will go into the details tomorrow. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Evavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.